Well, hello to all of you. Well, it's Scott Picken here, and I'm coming live from Atlanta. I'm sitting in an Airbnb, which is why I've got this lovely little poster behind me, living in the moment. But let's live in the moment. We're here with Garth, and golfers live in the moment. People in the golf industry live in the moment because if they're not in the moment, they don't make money. But
100%.
tell us, Garth, a little bit. Firstly, what is it with the golf industry when it comes to investing? What are some of the challenges that people face?
And Scott, now, look, I think the golf industry is twofold. Either you've got people that are playing the game and make money playing the game or working in that element, tournament golf. And then you've got people that are involved in coaching, standing on the range or on the putting green or chipping green, spending time one-on-one with golfers, and spending a lot of time, working one day to the next, a lot of sort of hand-to-mouth type stuff. So I think, there's two elements to this. Some golfers play professionally and others coach professionally, and those are the two different areas in which people are making money playing the game or coaching the game. So those that are working in the industry from a coaching perspective, they're selling time, they're selling hours, and one of the big things is there's only so many hours in the day, and really there's only so much you can charge. People are willing to pay X amount for a golf lesson, and a lot of coaches have to spend a lot of time working in the industry, getting experience, years and years standing out there in the sun, getting those times under their belt and building up their own reputation as a coach. Word of mouth starts to spread, and maybe they start to work with better players, or they get into maybe an exclusive golf club where they can work, and then they can charge more because they're working with a clientele that can afford to pay them more for their hours. But at the end of the day, they are stuck selling their time. So there's only so much they can make. And in order to make ends meet, they have to spend a lot of time standing out there giving lessons. And their money just ends up sitting in the bank doing nothing while they stand on the driving range getting sunburns and giving one-on-one lessons. On the other side of the coin, you've got those that are working in the professional game as a player, whether that's a player or a caddy or someone like myself as a strength and conditioning specialist in the golf industry. But there again, your cash flow is very volatile at best, because you don't know how you're going to play one week to the next, and you're relying on your performances in order to make ends meet. So I know players of mine who've gone from one tournament, and they have to play well at that tournament, otherwise they don't see how they're going to get to the next event. And there's many stories. In fact, there's been books written about the professional game based around this volatility and the excitement and the trepidation that it causes professional golfers, because they are literally trying to make ends meet from one week to the next and hoping to hit it lucky that, okay, this could be my week. And there's so many professional golfers that end up probably flogging the dead horse a little bit too long, and really trying to prolong their careers because they feel like they're only one week away or one good tournament away from making it big. And that's maybe one of the romance stories that are around the professional game, is that it can happen, at the drop of a hat or a drop of a putt, more specifically, that you could make a hell of a big windfall. But relying on that is as we know is fallible.
So from your perspective, I mean, this is one of those things where I've known you now for the best part of 2 years. You've explained this story to me. You've actually told me some amazing stories where, one gentleman, literally someone sponsored him and he went on to become this great professional, but without a bit of help. But there is a different way. And that, some could say he was really good and that was luck. But we can't always rely on luck. So what was the journey you took, and how did you kind of get from this a place of kind of up and downs and scarcity and lack of peace of mind and everything else to actually having a strategy that you could work in parallel with while you were doing your career and what you love, but you could have your money working for you?
Yeah, so Scott, obviously, I started out basically as a strength and conditioning specialist, a glorified personal trainer, basically, working in the golf industry eventually. But I was spending my time just like a coach, standing on the driving range. I was standing in the gym counting reps, and I actually had a moment, a bit of an epiphany moment, where one of my students that I was training, another fellow golfer that I was seeing after him, was doing his warm up routine next to us, and I counted to 15, and I said, right, that's 15 reps. And this golfer turned to me and said, are you sure it's 15? And the chap that was doing his warm up turned to him and said, Walk, of course it's 15. Don't you trust him? How many times do you think he's counted to 15? And and like he said it as a maybe a bit of a, I mean, a compliment, but oh my word, if it didn't hit a chord in my soul that I realized, like, oh my word, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, is standing here counting to 15. And I thought this stuff had to change, you know. So, and that was really what set me on my journey to then not selling my time, but rather selling my expertise. And when I started doing that, I obviously then streamlined myself into working with, you know, elite level professional golfers who play on the tours of the world, and whittled down my clientele from, you know, 50 or 60 to, you know, between 8 and 9 clients at the time. And so I realized that I needed to change the way that I was going about my business. Obviously, I'm also dependent on my athletes' performance, because that's part of the deal that I have with them is, you know, if they do well, I do well. If they don't do well, well, then why should I too? You know, so for them, the risk is spread a little bit. You know, if they do well, well, then they pay me well. If they don't, well, then I need to step up and help them become better. So, and then with that, I do get those windfalls every now and again, like any professional golfer or caddy or anyone that's working in the professional game. But then I found that those windfalls were then just sitting in my bank doing nothing. And I realized that I had to make that money work for me, because at the end of the day, I've got a lot of expenses, obviously traveling around the world to support my players. And I knew that I needed to amortize that and make sure that the money that I was making was actually going to give me longevity. And why not make it passively working for me while I'm on the tour, you know, traveling the world? And that's when obviously, you know, you and I I came across you. We chatted, obviously known each other for a long time, but really started this relationship 2 years ago and realized that, you know, I had to make that money work properly and work well for me. And that's where the sort of Wealth Migrate platform made absolute perfect sense for me.
So tell me, you know, my final question here would be for other golfers, why is this important? Why should they take, you know, heed of what you're saying in terms of, because the point is there are solutions out there, but most people don't know about these solutions. And what you're doing, you and I are doing together in a collaboration, is to specifically focus on golfers and some of their challenges and to provide solutions for them. And why should they pay attention?
Yeah, Scott, I mean, I've seen incredible value in this, and that hence why I really want to share it with the rest of my friends and colleagues in the industry, because I see them also going down that sort of dark rabbit hole that I was going down. And I think, you know, we end up standing and giving so much of ourselves in the service industry to our golfers and our clientele as coaches. And I feel like at the end of the day, we could end up with nothing to show for it. And on the flip side, you know, those that are working in the professional game and, you know, in tournament golf, those windfalls that they do get with great performances, whether it's a win or just good performances as a whole, you know, that money needs to be smartly invested, because so many times, and I'll use the caddies as an example, they, you know, they get that money in and you know, they blow it so quickly because of irresponsible decisions. And you know, it's not just caddies that do that. There's players out there that have self-admitted it to the fact that they blew it all. You know, they got bad management advice, or perhaps, you know, just took it upon themselves to think that they could make the right decisions, and they certainly didn't. So, you know, when the Wealth Migrate platform came along, and I could see that I could invest in opportunities that were formerly only available to those ultra high net worth individuals. You know, in order to get your foot in the door, you had to have, you know, tens of millions, if not more, in order to even be part of the conversation. Whereas now you can invest with as little as $10, literally. So, you know, it's the golf industry is obviously more of an exclusive type of space for sure, and of that there's no doubt. Maybe that's one of the barriers to entry, is that it is considered a you know, the income streams, you need to have money in order to be in the golf industry. And I think that's created a barrier, you know, for people getting into the game. But you know, a lot of people that we spend a lot of time with in the golf industry are these ultra high net worth individuals, and we hear the stories of how they've invested, you know, money in X and have made a hell of a lot. And it's always been a case of, well, you have to have money to make money. But you know, I think that now with the Wealth Migrate opportunity, you can take whatever you have and you can make that money work for you passively while you're out there standing on the driving range, or you know, traveling around the world playing golf on the respective tours of the world. So I really just saw an opportunity to help my colleagues and my friends, you know, benefit the way that I feel that I have.
Awesome. Well, look, I really appreciate the journey that we're going on. I love helping more people. Our passion and purpose is to help everyone invest like the top 1%. If you want to join us, click on the link below. Come and join us in a conversation with Garth and I. Join the community. Let's have the conversation. At the end of the day, there's only two things people need. They need the right information and they need the right partners. And what Garth is trying to do is provide people with access to the right information and the right partners. And I leave you with one closing thought. If you want to be successful as a golfer, copy a successful golfer. I'm sure you would all agree with me on that. Okay. Well, if you want to be successful as an investor, copy a successful investor and or even better, partner with a successful investor. And with that mindset, click on the link below, come join the conversation, and hopefully you can get to, do what you love in the golfing profession and let your money work for you while, literally while you sleep or while you're on an airplane. And that can bring you the peace of mind that you don't have to be on this roller coaster that Garth has spoken so eloquently about.